So from the second I heard about the movie Mandy with Nicolas Cage, I wanted to see it. And it was so hard to track down, despite the fact that I'm a Los Angelino, and really, it should be easy to find any movie out here, you would think. But by the time I found a theater playing this movie, or rather had time to get to a theater playing this movie, I believe you were already able to buy Mandy on Blu-ray. Mandy is an acid film. What do I mean by that? I mean by the fact that there's a truck. No. For one, acid, the drug, plays a part in the film. For two, I believe this film was inspired by acid. And for three, if you're the kind of person that takes acid, this film will have a special meaning to you. Also, I don't recommend anyone ever take acid. I've never taken it myself, though, so maybe I don't know what I'm missing. But I would say if you're in a state that marijuana is legal and you puff the green stuff, it will probably open up an entire new world of this movie for you. Yes, what this film is Nicolas Cage is playing a guy, I think his name is Red, and he's living in the mid-80s in this rural bag of absolutely nowhere with his artist girlfriend named Mandy. And Mandy one day gets spied by a cult leader who is kind of into dumpy looking girls, so he has her kidnapped. And this is a movie about, not so much about Mandy herself, but the grief caused by an acid trip that takes Mandy away from Red. And I mean, I don't want to spoil anything for this movie because whereas it is so bizarre, this is one of those films that if you're over 18, you just should see it. Because it's that weird. And, you know, here's the thing. It's like, yes, you've got a beef with these people and what they've done is against the law. Are you going to, A, call the police like a normal person, or B, go get your crossbow, which you've named, forge a ridiculously cool-looking axe, and go slicing, dicing, and totally making some mayhem? Well, obviously it's B, because this is a movie, but how much sense does that make? I mean, there are these weird animated sequences and these out-of-place sort of childlike lines. It's almost like you had a child take acid and then do one of those role-playing things with their mates, and then you just sat there and wrote everything down and tried to hack out the parts that didn't make sense to make a movie. And there are still some parts that don't make sense. There is a scene with a giant wasp being used as part of a hallucinogen drug. There is a scene where a premature deer carcass is found. There's just scenes where there's walking through the woods. And it is just such a bizarre movie. But whereas the plot makes no sense and there are holes all over it, you kind of have to admire just the weirdness of this film. Now, I have seen both films by this director. I have seen this and Beyond the Dark Rainbow. I did not like Beyond the Dark Rainbow as much as this. But again, I cannot classify this movie as good or bad. I classify it as something that you should experience. And I will tell you something. There is a scene here where Nicolas Cage, I mean, he chews the scenery like you wouldn't believe, but he perfectly captures the feeling of loss, the pain and the rage and the inability to address the problem while he's in the bathroom treating his wounds with a bottle of alcohol and drinking straight from the bottle, even though that's got a burn. And just this movie is a bundle of emotions that needs to be experienced, preferably under some kind of substance. So I will admit, not something to really see in the theaters, and I think it's out of theaters now. I think you're down to the Blu-ray. But seriously, you know, one good way to watch this if you're not into ganja is to like take 3 shots and then just start sipping your beer. Or is it the other way, or is it beer before liquor? I don't know. Anyway, it's basically get yourself kind of goosed, reasonably goosed, and then watch this movie while you can turn off part of your brain and just seriously experience this, because it is that just out there. It's a very strange movie, a very visual movie, a very visceral film with these bright colors and stylized lighting and a lot of schlong and man-ass. Yeah, I mean that's in there too. So yes, bizarre movie. Watch at your own risk, but I definitely think you should. But that's just my opinion. I'd love to hear yours down in the comments below. And I would like to take a moment to remind you folks, I'm doing a Save the Ocean promotion on this channel. I'll try to put a link to that video. And if you can, guys, go to that video, share that video, bring it up with your friends, because, you know, I would really like to save the ocean, and I would really like to not have to worry the next time I sort of or actually lose my job, because that kind of happened to me on Friday. But, you know, yeah, Mandy, crazy film, like my life, kind of. I'm Richard.